Hey, everybody, welcome to today's show. Welcome to Advocate Information Highway. I'm your host, Anthony Lorito-Duke, and we have a really interesting topic for today's show, in which it is the LGBT community. First off, this is Pride Month, and I want to say to all of our LGBT fans out there, happy Pride. We love you guys, and we wish everyone out there a happy Pride Month. Now, let's get right into today's show's topic. When I was growing up, okay, it was known as the community. The community was known as LGBT. Simple four letters, very simple letters. LGBT. Nobody had a problem with that. Everybody basically knew what that stood for: lesbian, gay, bisexual, and trans, which could be either transsexual or transgender. It was just shortened to just the word trans. Simple four letters, right? Very simple. But over time, and I understand that over time things change. Okay. But when you make things more difficult for people to understand, they're not going to be as accepting. Now, with that being said, over time, the LGBT community changed the letters around in a way, like they added more letters. Like I said, it began as LGBT, very simple four letters. Then it became LGBTQ. Then it became LGBTQI. And then they kept adding more and more letters. This is making things more difficult for people to understand. And when that happens, it's making it more difficult for people to be more accepting of the LGBT community and LGBT people. It's making it more harder for people to be accepting of them. We already have enough problems of being accepted in general out in the community. Why make more problems? You know, and over time things have, like I said, changed. And you know um and I also want to add that I have been a fighter for the LGBT community for over 30 years, well over 30 years. And I've gotten a lot of laws passed for the LGBT community and stuff. And but also at the same time, a lot of the LGBT community people are really not doing the right things. Okay, let me explain. Like with regard to the bathroom bill, okay, there are many businesses out in the community that, with their bathrooms, many businesses have a sign on there that say for men, women, and like the disability people too, and like everybody can use uh, their one bathroom and stuff. And sometimes some of these businesses will have like two or three of those bathrooms and with that same sign. And I get that. Okay. And that's fine. That's fine. You know, but there are also businesses out there that have been around for, let's say, like 75 years, right? And their bathrooms are the old-fashioned way of one is for men, one is for women, right? And a lot of the LGBT community people are in outrage, and they're saying to these businesses, "You gotta chop your business down and build it up to our satisfaction." No, 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 they don't. That's been their business for so many years. And you think they're just going to chop down their building just so it accommodates you? Seriously. If you don't like how that business operates and is structured and stuff, then don't go in there. Go to another place. Go find somewhere else that's more to your satisfaction. Honestly, here's another thing, and this is just for me personally. Okay, I feel that like trans people doing story time telling to little kids, that's perfectly fine. Kids get a kick out of that, and that's perfectly fine. And for these conservative religious people who don't like that and stuff, don't bring your kids there then. Go somewhere else to your satisfaction. Go bring your kids somewhere else if you don't like that. Right? But now here's the other thing. Again, this is just my personal opinion. For kids that are in like kindergarten or in elementary school, okay, nothing about the LGBT people should be taught to them. These are kids, and let kids be kids. That's it. Now, and here's another thing, and this is just my personal opinion, okay? I personally feel that parents should not bring their kids that are, let's say, in kindergarten age or in elementary school age to pride parades. Why? Because there's so much nudity in a lot of the pride parades. So these kids that are like these ages that I just mentioned, they should not be exposed to that. That's just my personal feeling. Now, if you want to talk about kids in high school or colleges, that's different. Like if you want to teach about LGBT history, fine. That should be taught in history class, by the way, just like Black history should be taught in history class. This is just my personal feelings, right? Those should be taught in history class, like for kids that are in high school or colleges. Now, if a parent wants to bring their high school kid to a pride parade, but explain about what the pride parades and stuff like that first, then okay, they're old enough to really comprehend that and stuff, and they're with the parents and stuff like that for safety and stuff like that, then that's fine, because high school is to teach kids for the real world, like college and um, work out in the community and stuff. After they graduate high school and stuff, and then they can take that knowledge to when if they go to college or wherever, then that's fine. You know, they're old enough then. You know what I'm saying? So to really comprehend things. Now, getting back to like this bathroom thing, that should not be even remotely discussed for like kindergartners or elementary school kids. No, 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 no. Again, that's different for like high schools and colleges and stuff. Okay, then that's fine because they're old enough then to really comprehend things. So those are my examples of how I got frustrated with the LGBT community people. And here's another thing. Here's another example. I forgot when this exactly happened, and it was at some sort of I think it was at some sort of amusement park place or whatever, not too long ago, maybe about a year or so ago. But anyways, there was this father whose little girls, his little daughters, they had to go use the bathroom. So he brought them to the bathroom. He made sure that there was nobody else inside. Okay. So that was cleared. And then he bring them his daughters into the bathroom and stuff, so that they can use the bathroom. And then the father stood outside of that bathroom, of that woman's bathroom, Okay. He stood outside, and there was a trans person who wanted to use the woman's bathroom. And the father would not let that trans person in simply because his daughters were inside using the bathroom. And the father said to that trans person, if you want to wait till my daughters are done and they come out, then you can go in. Or if you want, or please go find another bathroom to use. And that father had every right to say that, especially for safety of his daughters, right? Now, I'm not saying that anything would happen inside that bathroom, but you got to take precautionary measures and stuff. But anyways, this trans person was yelling and screaming, hollering and carrying on and causing all these problems and stuff. And because he didn't want to wait, the trans person did not want to wait, and was saying to that father, "You're not letting me in. I have every right to use the bathroom. I gotta go." His daughters are in there. They were very young. They're minors. Either wait till they're done and they come out, and then you go in, or go find another bathroom, another woman's bathroom to use. But to carry on the way that this trans person did, screaming, yelling, hollering, again, acts like this make it more difficult for LGBT people to be accepted. And when advocates like myself go to fight for equality, it makes it more difficult. It makes it more difficult because of people like that. Seriously. Honestly. That's really just completely unacceptable. It's unacceptable. You know? And just like what I said before, for people to think that a business that's been around for, let's say, almost 100 years, they're screaming and yelling, you got to chop your business down and build it back up to a bathroom that is to our satisfaction. No, they don't. No, they don't. You don't like it? Go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. You know? But and here's another thing. Like I said, these are just my opinions and stuff. I don't feel that for that parents should bring their kids that are, like, let's say, kindergarten age or elementary school age to pride parades. Some do, and that's on them. My personal feeling is they shouldn't, because of how a lot of the pride parades are, like with the nudity and stuff, and kids that young should not be exposed to that. You know. And I also explained to everybody out there about how I feel about with teaching about LGBT history and stuff like that. And that, I'm not talking about storytelling. Like I said, because that's completely fine for trans people to do. Kids love it. They get entertained and stuff. That's fine. And it's not throwing LGBT issues at them and stuff like that. It's not like that. Seriously. So, people in the LGBT community have to comprehend these things. Here's another thing. Like when I was growing up, everybody knew who the tops were and who the bottoms were. Okay. The tops were the masculine one, the bottoms were the feminine ones. But now over time, LGBT people wanted to change all of that. And there's a lot of versatility and all this other stuff. And I personally feel things should have just been left alone. Things should have just been left alone. The masculine tops should just be that. The feminine bottoms should just be that. Plain and simple. Everything was just simple back in the day. And that's the way it should have been left. But things have changed over time and stuff like that, and things are more chaotic and way out of hand and stuff like that. But I understand things change. I get it. But a lot of things should have just been left alone. Seriously. And people knew who the feminine bottoms were. You could tell. You could tell back in the day. Things should have just been left alone. A lot of things should have just been left alone. I understand some things should properly change, like marriage equality. That's one of the things that I fought for the LGBT community. And we got that. And that's great. That's great to have. But all this other, a lot of this other stuff, seriously, people got to think. People got to think. Honestly. Seriously. But anyways, I want to remind all my fans out there about a few things. For the two shows that I host on Spreaker.com, one is called Super Advocate and the other is called Disabled Reality. For those two shows, I have a specific website. And that specific website is called Super Advocate. And the link to there is superadvocate.codeadx.me. If you guys go to this website, you guys can listen to all the episodes of both of my shows that I host on Spreaker.com. Again, one is called Super Advocate and the other is called Disabled Reality. But also on this website titled Super Advocate, you'll see a tab on there called promo codes. If you guys click on that tab, you'll see 8 promotions on there. Okay? And for my show, Super Advocate, which I hosted today, for that show, we support 4 of those promotions. And those 4 promotions are Connie's Fashion Vault, Chill Boys, Hypernatural, and Old Glory. If you guys click on those promotions, you'll see that all these companies are great companies. They got great websites. They got great products and at great prices. I highly recommend you guys go and check them out. And I also want to remind all my fans out there about my other website that I have called Advocate Information Highway. And the link to there is AIHNY.com. Again, that's AIHNY.com. You guys can check out all the pages on there, but I just briefly want to mention just a few of the pages that are on this website of Advocate Information Highway. One page is titled Blog. If you guys click on that title, it'll bring you right to my blog page, and you guys can check that out. Another title that's on my website of Advocate Information Highway is titled Shows. If you guys click on that title and go to that page, you guys will also on there be able to listen to all the episodes of both of my shows that I host on Spreaker.com. But also on that page, you guys can also listen to and watch all the shows that I host for this show, Advocate Information Highway, on YouTube. So you guys can do that as well. Another page that's on my website of Advocate Information Highway is titled Internet Store on Zazzle. If you guys go to that page, you'll see a link on there. And if you guys click on that link, it'll bring you right to my internet store on Zazzle.com. You guys could see all the products that I designed and that are up for sale on my internet store on Zazzle.com. You guys can shop to your heart's content on there as well. Another page is on my website of Advocate Information Highway is titled Bookstore on Amazon. If you guys go to this particular page, you'll see 3 links on there. And those 3 links are to the 3 books that I wrote and that are up for sale on Amazon.com, and you guys can check all that out and shop to your heart's content on there as well. And so with that, take care, everybody. Bye.